Welcome back to The Inner Architect. As we move into the final quarter of our 20-episode journey, we turn our attention to the most complex structure of all, the human connection. This podcast is brought to you by www.selfdevelopmentpsychology.com, your laboratory for deep self-understanding and emotional evolution. In our previous episodes, we've talked about your work, your focus, and your inner dialogue. But no architect builds in a vacuum. We live, work, and grow within a web of relationships. And often, despite our best intentions, we find ourselves repeating the same painful patterns, choosing the same wrong partners, pushing people away when they get too close, or feeling an overwhelming anxiety that those we love will leave us. Today, we explore attachment theory. Originally developed by British psychologist John Bowlby and expanded by Mary Ainsworth, this theory suggests that the way you were cared for as an infant created a biological blueprint for how you give and receive love as an adult. By understanding your attachment style, you can stop being a victim of your past and start consciously architecting secure, healthy connections. Part 1. The biological need for a secure base. To understand attachment, we have to look at the survival of our species. A human infant is the most vulnerable creature on Earth. To survive, we must stay close to a caregiver. Therefore, our brains are wired with an attachment system, a biological thermostat that monitors the distance between us and our secure base. If our caregiver was consistent and responsive, we learned that the world is safe and that we are worthy of care. If they were inconsistent, distant, or frightening, our internal working model became distorted. At www.selfdevelopmentpsychology.com, we explain that your attachment style is not a personality flaw. It is a survival strategy that you learned before you could even speak. Part 2. The 4 styles of attachment. To fill our 45 minutes, we must walk through the 4 primary rooms of the attachment house. As I describe these, notice which one feels like home. Secure attachment, about 50 to 60% of the population. These individuals are comfortable with intimacy and aren't overly worried about rejection. They can communicate their needs and handle conflict without feeling like the world is ending. Anxious, preoccupied attachment. You have a high need for intimacy and a constant fear of abandonment. You're hypersensitive to micro shifts in your partner's mood. If they don't text back, your brain goes into threat mode in episode 5. Dismissive avoidant attachment. You equate intimacy with a loss of independence. When someone gets too close, you deactivate your emotions and pull away. You might pride yourself on being self-sufficient, but it is often a shield against the pain of rejection. Fearful avoidance, or disorganized. A combination of the two. You desperately want love, but you are also terrified of it. This often stems from childhood trauma, where the safe haven was also the source of fear. At www.selfdevelopmentpsychology.com, we provide a deep dive assessment to help you identify your primary and secondary styles. Remember, your style is plastic. It can change. Part 3. The anxious avoidant trap. One of the most common and painful dynamics we see is the anxious avoidant dance. The anxious person craves closeness. The avoidant person perceives that craving as a threat and pulls away. This causes the anxious person to chase even harder, which causes the avoidant person to retreat further. It's a cycle of pursuit and withdrawal. Both people are trying to protect themselves, but they are doing it in ways that trigger each other's deepest wounds. Reflection pause. Look back at your relationship history. Do you see a pattern? Do you find yourself playing the chaser or the runner? Understanding this dynamic is the first step in stopping the dance and building a new, stable structure. Part 4. Earned security. Redrawing the blueprint. The good news of modern psychology is earned secure attachment. Just as we discussed in neuroplasticity in episode 3, your brain can learn a new way of relating. As an inner architect, you can move towards security through self-regulation, learning to soothe your own amygdala hijacks rather than relying on a partner to do it for you. Effective communication, learning to say, I feel anxious when you're late because it triggers my fear of being forgotten, rather than lashing out in anger. choosing secure partners, or working with your current partner to create secure rituals, small daily acts of reliability that prove you are each other's safe haven. Part 5. Relational architecture in the workplace. Attachment theory doesn't stop at the bedroom door. It follows us into the office. An anxious employee might overwork to get validation or fear every performance review. An avoidant manager might struggle to give feedback or build a cohesive team. By recognizing these styles in your colleagues and yourself, you can architect a psychologically safe environment. Episode 9. You can stop taking their reactions personally and start seeing them as attachment strategies. We have a relational audit worksheet at www.selfdevelopmentpsychology.com. I encourage you to use it to map out your primary relationships. Once you see the blueprint, you have the power to change the design. Closing thoughts. We are social creatures. Our health, our success, and our happiness are inextricably linked to the quality of our connections. You were not meant to build your life alone. By healing your attachment wounds, you are opening the door to a level of support and intimacy you might have previously thought impossible. Thank you for joining me for episode 15. In episode 16, we move to a topic that is often just as emotional as love: financial psychology. We'll talk about your money script and how your relationship with wealth is actually a relationship with yourself. This has been a production for www.selfdevelopmentpsychology.com. Until next time, be brave in your connections and keep building your world.